The Victoria debacle continues to deepen. There is coronavirus, politics, and never far behind. We're going to bring you up to speed with what is turning out to be a war of words and a confusing maze. Yesterday, while appearing at the parliamentary inquiry that he set up, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews said that personnel from the Australian Defence Force were not offered to him to provide support with the hotel quarantine program.
Glad you mentioned the use of ADF. I don't believe ADF support was on offer. And ADF support has been provided in very limited circumstances in New South Wales, not to provide security as such, but to provide transportation from the airport to hotels. So again, I think it is fundamentally incorrect to assert that there was hundreds of ADF staff on offer and somehow someone said no. That's just not, in my judgment, accurate.
That actually wasn't the question, Premier.
Oh, yes, it absolutely was. Why did I do one thing and not do another?
The question was, why did you choose private security guards?
Well, there was a proposal drawn up. It was essentially already operating at some significant scale, but would need to go to another level. It was running quarantine and support services for a range of different people, whether it be health workers, vulnerable Victorians, women and children fleeing family violence. The best answer I can give you is that this hotel quarantine model was simply an extension of those arrangements that had until that point, and I have no evidence to the contrary, had worked well in those cohorts. It was simply expanded to include the return travellers, and it was stood up within the specified time frame. And they are the decisions that were made. It was essentially an extension of a program that we had already stood up, nothing more, nothing less.
Shortly after that, the Federal Defence Minister issued a statement that said the ADF were available as far back as March. This is something that Daniel Andrews and Victoria's Emergency Management Commissioner Andrew Crisp denies. Crisp said in a statement of his own saying that although there were talks with the ADF, he did not seek nor was he offered personnel for the hotel quarantine program. Dan Andrews was quick to use that statement in his defence at this morning's press briefing.
Let's be very clear about this. The Defence Minister yesterday decided that she would issue a statement. She's perfectly entitled to do that. It made a number of claims. Andrew Crisp has issued a statement that I think is at odds with that.
And for Dan Andrews, that was enough to end the matter.
And for my purposes, that clears the matter up. I don't know the Federal Defence Minister. I don't deal with her. I deal with the Prime Minister. But I do know Andrew Crisp, and I think Victorians know Andrew Crisp as well. And I direct you to the really clear statement that he's issued.
Were the troops available to assist in security in March?
Well, the availability of ADF resources is not something that I can speak to.
Yesterday you said no, that they weren't.
No, yesterday. No, let's be very clear about this. And we can stand here for as long as you want. Let's be very clear about this. It has been consistently put to me that me or others have consistently said no to help. That's simply wrong. That is simply wrong today. I was asked a question, why did you do one thing and not the other? What I was saying was I'm not entirely certain that the other was on offer. And Commissioner Crisp, I think, goes directly to that.
But the opposition leader, Michael O'Brien, says he's lying, and it would appear in a roundabout way the Andrews is accusing the Federal Defence Minister, Linda Reynolds, of also having a case of the Pinocchios.
They're doing a sterling job, and while they were out doing that work, others decided to issue a statement yesterday. I can't speak for that. Not under my hand, not under my signature. You'd need to speak to the Federal Minister about that. I think Commissioner Crisp has been very clear today.
Ben, I've got to say, I have major issues when leaders are called liars, when it's not as clear-cut as that, and I'm over these politics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's actually happening here, and it does kind of remind me of what would happen in primary school and high school when sports captains would get picked. There'd be the person who'd get picked, and instead of celebrating it, there'd be all these little people behind saying that they shouldn't have been picked and they could do a better job. At the end of the day, I think it's really redundant and useless for any of the opposition to be coming out and saying that he's lying. Look, we've had two government officials come forward and put forward the case. But what do we really care about at this stage? Do we want to talk about who's right and wrong? Do we know the facts pretty much as it stands that, you know what, there was a mistake that was made when it came to this hotel quarantine, and now we're just trying to rectify it. The mistake is huge. It's catastrophic. It's affecting everyone. Like the economy will maybe never be the same, but what point and what value do we have right now on absolutely needing clarification when it's just not going to help us moving forward?
Look, there's a couple of things going on here, Robbo, in that it's a pretty strong statement for Dan Andrews, and I thought this yesterday when he said it during the parliamentary inquiry, that ADFL personnel were not offered to him. The Defence Minister jumped on that, and the opposition in Victoria obviously thought they had a gotcha moment, but it certainly seems like Andrews had no knowledge of any help that was being offered, or do you think we're playing semantics here and politics?
Rob, I think you're right on there. That word with semantics, that's what I think is happening here. I think that the federal government is saying that we offered you ADF personnel for whatever reason. Possibly the Victorian government didn't take them up on that offer. So now the Victorian government is playing word games and saying, well, you didn't offer it to us for this. And so we're going to clap, we're going to hit back at you. The Defence Minister has come out again and said, no, we really did offer you ADF personnel back in the day. But then the Andrews government is trying to say, well, no, you didn't offer it to us for the hotel stuff. Look, you've got to start asking yourself some questions here, and questions need to be asked. I'm sorry, but I've got to disagree with you. Even at this point, questions need to be asked about what the bloody hell happened. Now, the Defence Minister can come out and issue a statement. You could argue that she's playing politics, but at the same time, we need answers right now. And this idea of going, well, yeah, we were offered soldiers, but we didn't take them up on that because we were just looking for hotel quarantine program at that point. That is irrelevant.
Yeah, but Robbo, hang on a sec. Can I just quickly ask you a question? Well, let me just imagine, let's just give a visualization of this, and you and I are playing a game of where we're knocking balls back and forward at each other. And imagine if you're standing there and I'm smacking ball after ball after ball after ball, and you get a little bit confused and then you need to go and check your phone. You don't have really any time to do that. What you need to do in a time like this is keep moving forward. Is it really necessary for the press to continue to keep asking him about something that we already know and that mistakes were made? Hey, let's have a look at this maybe once we get a little bit more of a handle on this. But right now, seeing journalists do this to further their career, to make themselves look better while you rummage around through Dan Andrews' bag, it's just not getting us anywhere. No, that's what it feels like to me.
I've just got to disagree with you. It's not journalists trying to further their career.
It is. Oh my God, have you seen those people? I've never seen people look so happy to get a point score in my actual life.
They're journalists doing it. They're journalists doing their job, and these are actual questions and responsible questions to be asked. Now, if you don't want to have all the balls thrown in your face, like the analogy that you use, then don't get into politics. Yeah. This is a really tough game. I understand that, but at the base of this, if one of them is telling the truth, then the other one is stuffed. Now, and it's very important to get to the bottom of it now. Right now, and I don't think it's point scoring.
Let's have a look at this. I feel like, for the point of the fact that what we're trying to all do as a Victorian, as an Australian, you would have to agree, and that is that COVID-19 would have to be one of the hardest things that's ever slapped the world, and we are all evolving as fast as we can, and we're all adapting. Mistake was made. Dan Andrews has admitted that, but what you're trying to do while we're getting press releases and things being said from different people and different parties is it's just bullshit. We need to be getting Dan Andrews to be focusing on things a little bit better. And then, let me tell you, once the car's back on the road, let's get under the hood and see what happened and make sure it doesn't happen again. But for right now, you are wasting our time by talking about this. Let's just actually move forward.
I really quickly, I want to disagree with that, because we're essentially in a second wave in Victoria. So to wait for the pandemic to end is a waste of time, and we'll lose more lives, more people will be infected.
Tell me what you want to get.
We need to start asking these tough questions
but
now.
Look, just answer the question. What do you want to get? What is it that you want?
What is it
that you want?
I'm in the middle of answering your question, Ben.
No, I know, but I just want to know. Summarize it just to a little bit.
I'm answering that question.
What is it that you want? Okay.
I want governments to be held accountable. I don't think that governments should be given a free pass in a democracy like Australia, where you can do whatever you want, make decisions, and have no scrutiny applied to you. That's my point. So we can't wait for the pandemic to end or to get less, because what happens if the same mistakes are made and we get a third wave, and you yourself are locked up in lockdown for another 3 months. Like,
Yeah.
is that what you want? Questions
okay,
need to be
what-
asked now.
What I would say about this is that it is okay to ask the Premier questions. What I have an issue with is an elected official being called a liar, the Premier of the state being called a liar. I think that's cheap shots. And until he has been proven
That's
to
politics.
do so, you have to give him the respect of the office. You can ask questions, but they're asking the same questions. He's answering. They're asking the same
He's not
questions.
answering the questions. He's
He
not
is.
answering the. He's not answering the
He
questions.
is answering the question. But Reggie, I want to ask
He is
you.
answering the
You
question.
are the
Yeah,
people's
fair enough.
princess,
Absolutely not.
Reggie. You talk
Yep.
for the people. When you see this going on, what do you think?
Well, at the end of the day, I'm in love with Brett Sutton. So, sorry. I do.
Who isn't?
Is no, I feel for Dan Andrews. And I believe him. I think that if why wouldn't he put the bloody forces there in the first place? I believe him, and I feel sorry for him because I'm with Ben. You listen to these reporters every day, and I just want to jump into the TV and just go, oh, I nearly swore. But it's frustrating. It is so frustrating, and no, it's got to stop. And I think, like Ben said, they have to move forward. We all have to help each other. This shit is not going to end until they find a vaccine. And
Yeah.
this is going to go on and on and on.
Look, we have
It's
the,
not
we
gonna
are
stop.
we are very lucky today because we are surrounded by royalty. From the people's princess, we now go to the people's prince. Robbo, what would you like to say?
I appreciate you. I'm gonna knight you actually, Robert. Just go back to respect of the office. So should Donald Trump not be called a liar? He's the American
Big
president,
difference.
Rob, so
Big difference.
No,
The guy has been caught
he's a-
lying to the public time
He
and time
lies.
and time
We
and time and
don't
time
know.
again.
Yeah.
We
Dan
don't
Andrews
know
has
that
not
Dan
been caught out
Andrews-
in a lie.
because he hasn't answered
Donald
any
Trump's a-
questions.
Until the man is found out to be a liar, I think it is a terrible thing to brandish someone a liar.
Yeah.
I think it's
You
disrespectful.
have
It's
watched
just
politics
pointless.
in this country before, right? You've watched politics before.
Yeah, but it's
Politicians.
Well, Robbo,
Okay.
that's why when they tell us we will die if we go outside, we don't believe them. The politics and the media have themselves to blame. They ramp everything up to like there's nobody's business. We don't trust what politicians say. So when they tell us we need to wear a mask to go outside, this is why people aren't listening. You can't just write that off saying this is politics.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.